Heading up the parade this year as Grand Marshal is Mr. Harry Manning in an open car. Mr. Manning is 100 years young. He's a resident of the Salem Willows. And he's now waving to this crowd that has gathered before the reviewing stand here on Broad Street in Salem. Mr. Manning, the Grand Marshal of the parade.
I have their number. They just came up from Sweeney's. The guy's loading them up. They can't do them tomorrow night. I don't know. No. 2 people came up from Sweeney's. They walked down there and
Heading up towards the reviewing stand is Mayor Neil Harrington. Following him is the Waltham, Massachusetts American Legion Band, headed up by Dottie Hill. Well into her 80s, this woman and her band are astounding. Here's Mayor Neil Harrington. He's going to say a few words. Neil?
Hi, Regina. How are you? Great parade today. And this is just the beginning. We have a long way to go. It's going to be great fun for all the people of Salem.
Thanks very much, Neil. This is Dottie Hill and her band. They are astounding. They play for the entire length of the parade. They never, ever stop. They never miss a beat. May we all be blessed with her energy when we're in our 80s. The Waltham Legion Marching Band. Following the Waltham Legion Marching Band is the Salem Heritage Days Committee. These are the people that put on this week, Heritage Days Week. And I'll tell you, they're a group of hard-working people. There's Bob Vaughn, Linda Richmond, Jerry Garino, Kathy Cronin, Doc Kagan, Carol, Suzanne Davis, Amy Judge, and George Bates, and Doris Manzel, and they've just walked the entire length of this parade. Some more members of the Salem Heritage Days Committee. I'll tell you, they work very hard to put on this week for everyone. Starting with last Sunday and the dog show to the Chowder Fest and the Scuba Bowl and Children's Night. Here's the Salem City Council coming on board now onto the reviewing stand. Some of them are still shaking hands with the crowd. It's the Ancient Order of Hiberians, Color Guard. representatives from the Salem Fire Department, and the Salem Lead Fire Apparatus. Here we have representatives from Salem Recycles. Salem, the city of Salem has a very extensive recycling program. A number of people are very much involved with this. They have a large program in the Salem City Schools. They advise the children when they bring in their lunches to recycle the aluminum foil or to use plastic containers to bring their sandwiches in. It's a very comprehensive program, citywide. Making their way in front of the reviewing stand now is the New Liberty Jazz Band, sponsored by Essex Office, located on 10 Boston Street right here in Salem. And that finishes up the escort division. Here comes the Marshal for Division 1, Commander Gig Michaud, saluting the reviewing stand. Lieutenant Gig Michaud is followed by post number 1524, the VFW Color Guard. And and the Naval Air Station Color Guard, followed by the Marauders Drum Corps from Longuiew, Washington. In beautiful costumes and banners. They're making their way in front of the reviewing stand here. And they're unusual, very striking costumes. Crowd pleaser. Here's the Beverly Vietnam Veterans Color Guard. And this is following the Vietnam Veterans Marching Unit is a USS Constitution Color Guard. There's Mr. Tierney himself. Mr. Tierney is from Salem. He must feel very at home in this parade. Now we're listening to the Nutmeg, Fife, and Drum. Striking in their Revolutionary War regalia, another crowd pleaser. the applause of the crowd. Representatives of former POWs walking and also in the trolley, Salem's trolley. Former POWs certainly deserve our respect. Following them, coming up in front of the reviewing stand is the State Police, Color Guard, and Drill Team. And they also have a mounted unit with them as well. Mr. Harris's band, the Cambpell Highlanders, are coming down Broad Street here. The Cambpell Highlanders, a favorite here in Salem. They've marched in this parade many times before with their distinctive sound with their bagpipes. They hail from Andover, Massachusetts. Now we have Mr. Ted Tarr, who is running for Essex County Commissioner. His banner is atop one of the distinctive Hummers that were made very popular during Desert Storm. He has sponsored the Colonial Band of Lawrence. Colonial Band of Lawrence will be the last band in the first division. Following the Colonial Band, we begin Division 2 of the Salem Heritage Days Parade. The Marshal for Division 2 is State Representative J. Michael Ruane, who is now getting out of his car. Now we have Mr. Lakian, John Lakian, who is sponsoring the Sanford Springfield Parade Band. Mr. Lakian is running for the U.S. Senate.
Thank you.
More of the John Lakian contingency. Shots come courtesy of the Sanford Springfield Parade Band. And to the tune of She's a Grand Old Flag. unraveling the stars and stripes here. Now we have the Sheriff's Department color guard passing. Followed by Sheriff Charles Reardon. And now we have the Witches Contingent, headed up by Terry Colgren of Salem. These witches do not come only from Salem, but they come from up and down the eastern seaboard. Also, they have with them the Clan of the Dragon and the Coven of the Silver Wheel. And now we have the winners of this year's Salem Chowder Fest. Firehouse Coffee Shop right here in Salem were the winners. And I had a cup of that chowder and it was great. Kevin Murray of Salem is the Chowderfest chairperson, and he did a wonderful job. And now we have the the Jane Sturgewalt cheerleaders. Jane Sturgewalt is running for the state senate to represent the communities of Salem, Beverly, Danvers, and Peabody.
What show are you guys doing?
Jane is marching with her husband Gary, who is now doing a cartwheel. Two of her daughters, Anna and Nell, are cheerleaders. along with a number of their friends. They've worked very hard. Nell Sturgill and Katie Flynn bringing up the end of the cheerleading squad. This is the Connecticut Hurricanes Drum Corps, sponsored by Jane Sturtwald. Beautiful costumes. A moment of quiet here before the Connecticut Hurricanes Drum Corps performs. Hurricanes are getting a resounding applause from the audience here. Here's an antique car sponsored by the North Shore Fruit Basket. Right here in Salem, 282 Canal Street. Salem State College International Group. And some beautiful costumes. Okay, I have with me here Councilor Bill Burns. He's a councilor at large here in Salem. And now, Mr. Burns, you're a Salem boy. Now, you know, what are your feelings about Salem Heritage Days? Do you have a favorite night or a favorite event?
My answer to that is I've lived in Salem all my life, and what I think about Heritage Days is I see it as an extraordinary community event, and I think it's something that everyone should support. It brings everyone together. I ran on a theme of community spirit, and this certainly is the epitome of that.
It certainly is, Bill. Now we have the Peabody Color Guard and Mayor Peter Torigian shaking Mayor Harrington's hand. Members of the Peabody City Council and School Committee with the Rawhides Marching Band, sponsored by the City of Peabody and the Heritage Committee. Salem Heritage Days started back in 1961 when the late Joseph Howe, who was a writer for the Salem Evening News, met with some Salem City councilors to discuss the feasibility of a three-day summer festival. And since that meeting, prompted by the good intentions of its members to do something special for the people of Salem to refresh in the long, hot days of summer, much has happened. The three-day festival has evolved into Heritage Days, which is now a week-long annual event, which such standards as the Essex Street Fair, the 10K road race, and a city councilor softball game. Here we have Division 3, headed up by former Salem City Mayor Anthony V. Salvo. We have the Spear Post Color Guard following Mr. Salvo. Besides the softball tournament, which always pits the cities of Salem and Peabody against one another, there is an Olympics-inspired 10K road race, which runs throughout the city of Salem. That occurred yesterday morning here, Saturday morning. The road race started in 1965, and it was started by a number of Salem High School students who had watched the 1964 World Olympics and decided that they wanted a 10K road race here in Salem. And we also have the fireworks and the grand finale parade. Of course, Salem Heritage Days now takes months and involves a 30-plus member planning committee But besides the planning committee, it also involves a number of Salem's merchants, city officials, and hundreds of volunteers. Many of those on the planning committee this year have been serving on the committee for over a quarter century. And remember when it was just a couple of circus acts set up on Salem Common. It was after that that the people at the Willows asked if they couldn't host some of the attractions, and that's how different areas of the city got involved. And now we have Mr. John Keenan running for the state senate with his wife Kara Keenan. Mr. Keenan has a float here, a very large motorboat that says not afraid to rock the boat.
Henry? Oh, not Henry, huh? Billy.
Family and friends of Mr. Keenan's marching in the parade. Family, friends, and supporters of Mr. Keenan. See if you can send somebody else down.
Me too.
Thanks, Bill. Mr. George McCabe, also a counselor at large here in Salem. Also, it should be noted that George's very pretty little girl, Erin, won one of the divisions of Little Miss Heritage Days yesterday at the contest. George, why don't you say something about Heritage Days? What's your favorite part of Heritage Days?
Well, I really enjoy the parade. I've always liked it since I was a kid, and all the Heritage Days has been fun. You know, my family, we've been doing it for years, and we really enjoy it.
I saw you at a number of the events this week. The Scooper Bowl and the Chowder Fest.
Yeah, we were there.
Do you have a special favorite? Now, those are actually new to Salem Heritage Days. Those are both only about 4 or 5 years old. Did your favorite win the Chowder Fest, the Firehouse?
Well, my wife and daughter did the testing, and they both picked the Firehouse, so they're pretty good at it.
Well, good for them.
I don't think they missed one event. I didn't go to all of them, but they went to every one of them.
Well, good, good. One of the remarkable things about both the Chowder Fest and the Scooper Bowl is that the committee and those involved are able to serve well over 1,000 people in under an hour. It's really phenomenal.
Well, it's a very well organized event. The committee that puts this on, I mean, people don't know how much work they do. You do, Regina, but I mean, they have to work year round to pull off these events, and it's really good for the city. It creates a good spirit of community pride, and it's really enjoyable.
Now we have the Polish contingent and float. The Polish contingent is handing out flowers to members of the Salem City Council. They're very colorful in their native costumes. their brightly embroidered vests. Now we have a car from the North Shore Medical Center, formerly Salem Hospital. North Shore Medical Center, really one of the premier medical centers on the North Shore.
They are scheduled for this evening. Salem Willow this evening, fireworks.
Now we have the Salem Heritage Days Dog Show winner.
Honey Bear. Honey Bear is the Best of Show winner. This year's annual Heritage Days Dog Show event held at the Salem Willow.
Honey Bear, the winner of the Salem Heritage Days Dog Show.
Was a cruelty case, and the dog has come a long way to recovery. To my rear, we have the Heritage Days Jailbirds, and they're looking for any donations. Any small change of bills would be greatly appreciated.
I gotta go see the Jailbirds and
Help offset
give them a
Heritage
donation,
Day
Regina.
Good for you, George. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The fireworks are scheduled for this evening. Current update is that they are scheduled for this evening.
Here come the Salem Heritage Days Jailbirds, walking with the buckets throughout the crowd. They're being escorted by Mr. Don Famico.
Any small donations, folks, would be greatly appreciated. Deposit into the buckets of our Heritage Day Jailbirds. We would greatly appreciate it. Help offset Heritage Day 1994 event.
Some of the jailbirds are Liz Fleming,
Fireworks are on as scheduled
Kevin
for this
Murray.
evening. That is the current update.
They're announcing that the fireworks are on for this evening.
Any small change would be greatly appreciated.
I'll tell you, this is a very expensive
The
week.
jailbirds are coming along with their buckets, and any small change that you have would be greatly appreciated. Small change of bills, help offset Heritage Day 1994 event. Fireworks are on. Fireworks.
There's Mr. Dan Geary dressed as a Viking, looking very threatening, seeking donations from the crowd. Mr. Geary's natural beard goes very well with his costume.
Coming right up behind me. Fireworks are scheduled for the evening. That's the current update. This is morning.
Here we have the Off the Wall Theater. Reenacting part of their Capacity for Evil, the witchcraft trials in Salem in 1692. Now here we have coming up the Velvet Knights Drum Corps from Anaheim, California. And I saw this group lining up, and they are bright and colorful.
Ooh, I like the top. I like the top.
The Velvet Knights getting a very warm applause from the crowd here. They can't wait to see what they're going to do. They're holding their Chiquita bananas in their arms. Look at that spider mag.
Okay, I'm gonna go back over there.
They were just wonderful. That was the Velvet Knights Drum Corps from Anaheim, California. They look so stern marching off. And yet they were one of the liveliest bands. have a dog's best friend grooming float. With some beautifully groomed dogs, an Afghan heading them up. They're located here in Salem. And we have a feline and a dog in the back of their float grooming themselves. Now coming in front of the reviewing stand are the Dixie Jazz Kings, sponsored by Senator Fred Berry. Fred waving to the crowd. And now we have the Victory Chapel float featuring the Holy Ghost jailbreak.
To forgive me, and he came into my life and he set me free, and today I live a clean and I can live a righteous life.
I'll tell you, I work 25 hours a day. I gave my wife everything, diamonds, jewels, furs, but I'll tell you, the Bible says that the love of money waxes cold. I'll tell you, money is a ripoff. You know, we need money, but I'll tell you, Jesus is the answer. We have a void that can only be filled with Jesus Christ.
And here we have the Topsfield Fair hitch, the Topsfield Fair. Always a wonderful fair for all members of the family, to be held this year up in Topsfield, Massachusetts from October 1st through to the 10th. Look at these beautiful horses. These horses are owned by the Craigs from Essex, Massachusetts, and we had them down. We had 2 horse hitches down at Salem Heritage Days Children's Night, and we had free hay rides that circled around the perimeter of Salem Common. It's a great favorite with the children down there. The Topsfield Fair Hitch was carrying Miss Essex County. Now we have the Marshals for Division number 4. With Max Talkowski, Bill Farrell, and Pep Carnascio. These men have been with Salem Heritage Days just about from its inception. They've always worked very hard, and they've done a lot of liaison work with the merchants. Some more of the Heritage Days Committee and fundraising with the merchants here in town. These 3 men are great favorites with the crowd.
There's no electronics like
Here we have the Topsfield American Legion Post 255. And we also have here representatives from Mr. Mitt Romney, who is running for the U.S. Senate. There's Mr. Romney going from side to side, shaking hands. Mr. Romney being accompanied by a number of his family and friends and supporters. We have the Spartans from Nashua, New Hampshire. Another beautiful, bright drum corps. Their colors are yellow and purple and white.
Katie.
They're sitting on the steps of the Council on Aging.
Okay, thanks, Amy.
I think so.
Why would everybody clap?
Now we have the Baker School of Gymnastics in Salem, Massachusetts. Bright and colorful group of girls. Look at those cartwheels. Take your breath away. Whoa. Backflips. Ah. Whoa. What a wonderful group of girls these are. Talented and energetic.
They did good.
They did very well for themselves.
How much fun is it going to be?
Baker School of Gymnastics. Now we have the winners of the Teddy Bear Picnic, which was part of Salem Heritage Day's Children's Night. The Teddy Bear Picnic is co-chaired by Barbara Newman and Nell Ann Hyatt. There's Barbara now. Here we have the best dressed couple, Mike Doherty with his bear, most fashionable, Caitlin Gordon. Look at these kids, they walk the whole length of the parade. 1994 Teddy Bear Picnic Parade winners. And now we have have Salem Pop Warner football. We have the Pop Warner cheerleaders. Dressed in their traditional colors of black and red and white.
To the left!
And also we have to thank a lot of the Salem Pop Warner cheerleaders for carrying the banners for the different divisions and the different candidates and events that were held all week long.
Is everybody here? Is everybody here? Oh yeah! Do you want to know how to cheer? Oh yeah! Blow your open heart, so give it all you got. Give us an A! Give us an A! Give us an O! Give us an E! Give us an M! What do you got? Lose and win! Louder! Louder! S-A-L-E-M, go, go, go! S-A-L-E-M, go, go, go! S-A-L-E-M, go, 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 go!
Right here. We're here, they're there. The Salem Pop Warner cheerleaders. We could hear them practicing for the past 2 weeks on Salem Common. It's probably why they were in such good voice today. And now we have Salem Pop Warner football.
Here I am.
Now we have Salem City Councilor Lenny O'Leary, who represents Ward 4 here in the city. Lenny, what's your favorite part of Salem Heritage Days?
The whole show, the bands, the kids. I think the Heritage Committee has done a great job, and there's too many members to go through. I mean, Linda Vaughn was the chairman, but all of them did a great job. We've had some great bands go by here. You haven't seen anything yet until you see the last two bands. Okay, I do like drum corps, but I do like the other people that are in the parade, and especially the kids. They really enjoy themselves.
Here we have Salem Heritage Days Children's Night. This is Ruby Hill. She was one of the co-chairs for Salem Heritage Days Children's Night. Their theme this year was celebrating diversity. Now we have Salem Little League floats and walkers. And now here we have Little Miss Heritage Days. Chairperson Debbie Coco, who worked very hard. This was a new event this year. And here we have, along with Leanne Donahue, who is Miss Mass American Preteen, some of the winners of Little Miss Heritage Days. And here's Erin McCabe riding in the float with Miss Massachusetts. That must certainly be a big thrill for her. Miss Lorna Golden, Miss Massachusetts.
I think this has been the longest and the best parade Salem has ever had.
I think so, Lenny. Thanks very much. Here's Salem Little League Senior Girls Softball. There's former City Councilor Mr. Jack Nutting there. Jack's still very involved in the community. Salem Terriers. Here we have the Reds, sponsored by Corporate Design Insurance. The Reds were the 1994 city champions. And now we have the Salem Alliance contingent, Salem Community Alliance. Followed up by the Tony Berry Band. Now we have the beginning of Division 5. This is the 5th division. The marshal for this is Dorothy Vibert, a long-standing member of the Salem Heritage Days Committee and a very active member in the senior community here in Salem, Dottie Vibert. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She's headed up Salem Heritage Days Senior Night for a number of years now with Linda Richmond. It was really a wonderful night this year. We had a good time, and I'll tell you, Ruth Brennan made a lot of it possible.
So did Regina and Ruby, were wonderful to work for.
Now we have Congressman Peter Torkelson, who has sponsored the West Newbury Firemen's Band. And here's Mr. Dave Fix, who is the fireworks chairperson. Mr. Torkelson, Congressman Torkelson, waving to the crowd. Congressman Torkelson, do you have a favorite part of Salem Heritage Days?
Well, I've always enjoyed the parade immensely because people are so friendly. We've, I think, almost always had good weather. Not quite always, but very close to it. And it's just a great experience to see so many people and see the community pouring together. Although I guess the one example that I guess would be better than that was, I think it was last year or the year before, probably last year, when after the parade we honored Linda Vaughn for all her work. To me, that's probably the best moment because Linda's put so much into making Salem Heritage Days what it is, that she's really a great part of the community. So
she is. Thank you, Regina. Congressman.
Bye-bye.
Here we have the West Newbury BFA Marching Band. Here we have animal episodes. We have a team of donkeys pulling a bed full of Great Danes. Now we have the Lone Star Drum Corps from San Antonio, Texas. Their colors are black and white, neon green and yellow, and purple.
He said they were throwing it out.
Preliminaries for
We have Robert representing the Lone Star Drum Corps. And so you've been traveling around the country all summer long?
Yes. First we started going to the Southwest, then back to Texas, and then to the Midwest, and this is the last stop. Monday is the start of the preliminaries for the World Championships.
Where do they take place?
At Lowell, Lowell, I'm sorry. And then after that they move on to Foxborough Stadium.
Terrific, terrific. Well, I hope that you have found Salem a warm and welcoming community for you. I know we've appreciated having all of these drum corps here today.
Thank you. I actually find it kind of cool compared to Texas.
I bet you do. Thank you very much. Who is the Ice Cream Scooper Bowl chairperson, walking with the Scooper Bowl winner this year, Cherry Farm Creamery. Now we have Historic Salem Inc., which is 50 years old this year, with John Casey and Maria Buckley. Walking with a number of representatives from Salem, Historic Salem Inc., followed by people from Salem Maritime here, and the Vincent's Potato Chip Truck. Thanks. Who have been tossing free samples of Vincent's potato chips to the crowd. Now here we have Janice Berry running for Attorney General. She's followed by the Hills Mills Clown Band. Janice Berry flanked by a number of her family members and supporters. Clown Band, a very colorful addition to the Salem Heritage Days Parade. Now we have the Clown Float, sponsored by the Greater Boston Clowns of America. Beautifully made up and waving to the crowd. So here we have a young parade watcher. So Maggie, what do you think of all these clowns in the parade?
Silly.
You're right, they are silly. But they're fun to watch, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So Maggie, what's your favorite part of Salem Heritage Days?
The fireworks.
What do you like about the fireworks?
Pretty colors.
And now we have Salem Heritage Days Chairwoman Linda Vaughn is waving to the crowd. And I'll tell you, Linda Vaughn has done this now for a number of years. The people on the reviewing stand are getting to their feet to give her a big round of applause. No one works harder than Linda does. A very pretty lady, both inside and out. Linda heads up a 30-member committee, and she works with all the Salem departments, city departments, to put this all together, and she's followed by Laura DeToma and Al Hill. And we have the marksmen, the alumni of the Drum and Bugle Corps from Springfield, Massachusetts.
One of them performs. I want to see this one.
Alumni Corps, Drum Corps. Vaughn, chairwoman of Salem Heritage Days. The band is telling us that we have to help clap. And that brings to an end another successful Heritage Days parade. The Springfield Marksman Alumni Corps from Springfield, Mass.
No.